So to show you more about this little 110 AC panel, so what goes on is that this is the power in from the little shore power outlet on the side of the van. It goes up to the inverter. Now the inverter has a just pass through, so that if the inverter's off, then this just goes straight through to the power of the breakers. If the inverter is on, there's a program that tells it to stay on shore power. So it will always pick shore power first, and if it doesn't have shore power and you have the switch on, then it'll give you power to the outlets. Okay, so power comes in, gets passed up to the top of the box, and then there are 4 outlets. So that just shows you what I've called them. So if you take that off, so you got your power coming in. Now that goes to a little jumper cable here. So as long as you're using, so that's a 10 gauge wire. So the little jumper is 10 gauge. So then that passes the power down to the breakers. And then they're on or off. And then when it goes through, it gets passed to where you're going to go. So here's 4 wires going to just where that was originally going to. So then there's a white wire that comes down and that gets tied to the main white bus bar. These two are the same white wires. So then all the white wires from the lines go to this common one. And then finally there's a just common ground, which is tied to the body. So the grounds from each of these wires go to a just common bus bar. And again, I'm no electrician. Don't take my advice. I'm just showing you how I do it. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, then point it out to me and then tell me how to do it right, because I'm always interested in learning. One other way to think about this is picture it as just a big junction box. So you got your power in, and say you want to wire nut 4 wires to the wire coming in. So you put the wire in and you get a really big wire nut and you put all the hots together. You'd wire nut all the whites together. You'd wire nut all the grounds together, and then those would go someplace else like a big extension cord. So I'm just putting a breaker in the way of the hot lines, so that that there's a way to turn them off for 1, and there's a way to control overload for 2. Okay, so battery isolator. In theory, battery isolators are very simple. You just hook another cable to the positive of the battery and run it back to where the battery isolator component is. So this is how I did it. This is the main cable coming in from the alternator, and here's my battery part of that. Now that's hooked up to a 200 amp fuse. These are what came with the just factory. So this runs down into the battery box and out underneath the car, so I'll show you that. So there it is coming out of the battery box. You can kind of see that. And then it goes down, 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 all the way down along this beam. And it comes back up, and I'll show you that. So it comes back up just through the floor and then along the wall. So the other little wire that's just by it, that's the just power step hot wire. So along here and then down into the battery isolator. How easy! It takes a while to be that easy. That's probably, I don't know, 4 hours probably to put that in. I have to put it on the other side of the wall because I've got a box and the just battery sitting right here. So I've got 3. So there's 2, and they're the Odyssey PC 1800 FTs. I like these because they're very tall and skinny, rather than kind of most of them are very fat and short. So this cramps more space upwards. So this other battery goes in here, and I'll play with that here next. And this is a battery temperature gauge. That ties back through the wall back to the charge controller. While I'm here, so you see I've ran more cables along here. This is the cable to the AIMS. It's a remote version of this switch. This is a cable to the Midnight Solar, which is a story by itself. This is a cable to the induction cooktop. So the Midnight Solar has a cable that runs a remote version of this on the front of the van. You can kind of see it right there. And this doesn't take a regular Ethernet cable. It takes a 6-wire cable, which you can't find in normal stores. So I'm sure you can order it online, but wait another week. And so what I did was I just cut they give you a cable that goes from up here to the main plate if you wanted to read it here. So I just cut that one in half and then bought a 6-wire piece of just cable, and I spliced them into both of those, to both ends, one in here and one in back down on that end. So yes, that's a pain, and I probably could dig up a 6-wire kind of Ethernet. It's not a phone cable, it's not an Ethernet cable, it's in between. Midnight could have could have just used a plain Ethernet cable and then just not use the 7-wire. No, they have to go with something that you can't find, and they don't even have any on their website. They've got like a 3-foot one. Yeah, that's a lot of help. So anyway, got that done. Let me see what's new. I put in these just little LEDs, and they go all the way around. And that's just basically a just garage light. I put in this little switch, so that turns on the light and off. It's just tied down into here. Very, very, very simple. The power step, that's this red wire here that comes in. So it's got 2 lines, and I'll show you, because right here I joined it into a switch. So right here is the power step on and off. So why do you do that? Say you're in a campground for a week and you don't want the power step to come in and out, in and out, in and out every time you open the door. So you just open the door, it goes out, then you turn it off, and then the power step will stay out. Now you have to remember to bring the power step to turn it on again when you leave, but that's the way it works. You could tie it to the key, I'm sure. I'm not going to do that. So next is to tie in the big cables that go over here. So you basically do positive, positive, negative, negative, and then bring two cables over to the nearer battery. Same thing, and then bring those cables back over to these 2 guys, and that will be it for wiring. So then the cables run back through the first cabinet. Then they run this way. So this cable feeds the ceiling LEDs. So that's on a dimmer. Here is the Midnight Solar. This is the aim switch. All that for that switch. Just that thing. That's it. And this is the retract or extend for the awning. You can kind of see back here. I tied those to 3 wires in. Here's the cable for the Ames power inverter, and there's a cable for the just Midnight Solar, and you can see how I spliced that in there. Okay, so here's the last bit of wiring. So I have these 2 batteries hooked, or well, they're all 3 hooked in parallel, right? So you put positive to positive, negative to negative. So you put positive to positive, negative to negative, and these 2 send their power over to the 3rd battery, and that's hooked positive to positive, negative to negative. Then that just sends it on to supply the system. So you can see it runs right along here. So the negative recall goes to the shunt. Now nothing can be between the battery and this part of the shunt. So it measures the difference between these 2. So on this side is all the components. You know, you've got the inverter, you've got the little just fuse panel, you've got the charge controller, and that all goes out to the chassis. So the positive then comes up, and I put it into a little switch which I can access here. So that runs down into a 200 amp fuse, and that runs right into the power bus bar. Okay, So then, again, this runs out. This is the charge controller in. This is going to the fuse box. This one is going to the inverter, which I do through another switch, and this one is going from the alternator. So that's off right now. So I'll test these out one at a time. So what I have so far is a fuse in for the garage light. So let's give it a try. Hey, look at that magic! Let there be light. So that's a pretty cool little thing. It'll be a nice thing in the nighttime when we're trying to find stuff in here. So then I just test out one thing at a time and then take it from there. So the next is ceiling lights. So I'll turn it on. Let's see, wow, look at that, and they dim. How cool! Pretty cool. So let's test the reading light. So it starts off at red, and it goes to bright white. Wow, that's pretty cool. Totally nice. Okay, try the power stair. Wow, look at that. Look at that. It actually works. Wow, man. Worth the trouble. Let's try it. Walk in. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Worth every penny.